Okay, you're the CEO, you're the president, you're the head of a company that's out to sell a commodity in a crowded marketplace. What's the first thing you need to do? Well, you need to determine how much the product you're selling is worth to buyers, which is really different than how much is that home worth to you, okay? In other words, nobody cares how much you think the house is worth. I know it's bad news. I know no one likes to hear that. It's fairly safe for me to say it here on the other side of a video screen from you. But the reality is no one cares what you think. You don't care what someone else thinks when you went to buy this house, when you went to buy the next house, when you go to buy that next house you're going to move into. You don't care what the seller thinks it's worth. You're going to compare it to all the other things that you could spend your money on, and you're going to decide how much it's worth to you. That's what buyers are going to do. It's a crowded marketplace. You need to determine what a buyer would think it's worth, and then you get to decide not how much it's worth. You get to decide, is it worth selling at the price a buyer thinks it's worth? You don't get to say how much it's worth to a buyer. You get to say if it's worth selling at that price or not. So how do you do that? Because really no one cares that you put in X amount to redo the deck, or they don't care about the upgrades and how much you spent on the upgrades. It's not material to them. It doesn't add the amount of value you think it adds. It adds some value somewhere, but it doesn't matter how much you think it adds. It's going to add what they think it adds. You know, there's a TV show called Shark Tank where people come on and, you know, sell portions of their business to multimillionaire investors like Mark Cuban and these other investors, and they value their company and they sell 10% at whatever, 150,000. And at least once an episode, this investors, the sharks, all wind up laughing at the people because they think it's worth way more than any rational explanation would cover. I can't tell you how many sellers I deal with that have an irrational relationship to how much their home is worth. Don't be like that. You want to determine how much your home is worth using rational methodology. So let me get a couple of irrational methodologies out of the way. Zillow is an irrational methodology. It's a computer algorithm. It cannot possibly be accurate enough for you. The CEO of Zillow, when he went to sell his house, the Zestimate was 43% higher than he wound up selling it for. That's the CEO of Zillow. His Zestimate was 43% off. Now, are some Zestimates correct? Sure. Your best bet would be to price it under the Zestimate, because buyers will think they're getting a bargain, and that will attract more buyers. But you can't use the Zestimate to tell you how much it's worth. You can use the Zestimate to track trends, like over time, last 5 years, has it been going up? Good, you know your home's been going up in value. Directionally, they're fine, but they're just not, the algorithms aren't sophisticated enough to do it, to come up with a useful value. Okay, so how do you do it? And the problem with you using the Zestimate or looking at the Zestimate is that it gets anchored in your mind. You have an anchoring bias, and compare that value to every other value that it comes up, and you'll think, oh, I'm getting ripped off, or that realtor's not doing a good job because they're not getting as much as the Zestimate, and that's nonsense. The Zestimate is nonsense. Okay, I would recommend you don't even look at it. Okay, in the beginning, you can look at it later, because if you can get your price under the Zestimate, that's good, because buyers will use the Zestimate because they're not watching this video, so they don't know. Okay, and if you can make it look like a bargain, that's going to attract more people. So how do you value your home? Well, the easiest way to do it is you find 2 or 3 realtors and you have them give you a comparative market analysis of your home. Any decent realtor would be happy to give you a comparative market analysis of your home. Well, they'll compare similar size, similar age homes in a similar area and give you a range of values for your home. You know, anywhere, 5 to 10% range of value for your home, depending on when you're going to sell it, things like that. But you can get a rough idea from that. I do these all the time. They're free. Any realtor should do these for you for free. If they don't do it for free, you know that's a really poor realtor, okay? Because who wouldn't want the opportunity to talk to you about the possibility of selling your home? Now, you're not going for the highest. The realtor that gives you the highest value is not the best realtor inherently. I mean, if it were, then every realtor would just say it's worth $2 million. Hey, there you go. Now some realtor told you it's worth $2 million. No, you want to look at the evidence. You want to sit down and look at the logic and the comparable houses and how they came up with the number they came up with. If that logic makes sense, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the process, okay? Because the house isn't going to be worth anything until you decide to sell it. It's very, 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 very time sensitive. In other words, if a house across the street goes to market the day before you and they're priced $50,000 less than you thought your home was worth, well, then you've got to reprice your house because you've got competition now you didn't have. So it's very, very, very time sensitive. Okay, so you're only going to get a range from the realtor, but it'll give you a sense, and then you can decide if we got that price, would it be worth selling at that price? That's the next step in selling your house, is determining the price. So I would get with a couple of realtors and I would ask them to give you a market evaluation and look to see, is that price range an acceptable range for you? And then start to interview those realtors based on the questions I gave you and pick one of those people. And then we can move on to the next step in selling your home. Okay, now you're the boss, you're ready to sell, you're the boss, you've priced your home. What's next?